Hi, I'm Maria Theoharis, or Fellow Sews on social media. Welcome back to Sew Over 50 podcast. Grab a cuppa and relax with us.
Sew Organised Style podcast acknowledges traditional owners of country throughout Australia. We pay our respects to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures and to the elders past, present and emerging.
Thanks for joining us on Sew Organised Style for this Sew Over 50 podcast, as we have a chat to someone who I think many of you will know through Instagram. Sew Over 50 intersects with all communities. Mimi Jackson runs the Instagram account Shop the Garment District, and we'll hear more about how this account was created. Also, we'll hear about Mimi's sewing background. Thanks for being today's Sew Over 50 guest, Mimi.
It's nice to meet you.
It's really lovely to meet you. And look, thank you so much for all the work that you've done to prepare for this podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm really so happy and flattered to be invited.
Is this your first podcast?
I'm a podcast fanatic. I listen to podcasts endlessly, but I've never been on one. I've never been invited to be on one. So it's a little bit scary because I know that so many people could be listening.
And they will.
Yeah, that's a little scary, but I'll get over it.
You know, I've been following your account for quite a while, and now I actually get to see and speak to the real person behind it. Thank you, Mimi.
Oh, thank you. I'm curious. Can I ask you a question?
Of course you can.
How did you assess that I was over 50?
I didn't.
I'm brand newly over 50.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
As I say at the beginning, Sew Over 50 intersects with all communities.
That's wonderful. I wondered about that when I listened to, just that statement when you talk about Sew Over 50, and I notice all of the posts that have the hashtag Sew Over 50, and I'm thinking, well, not all these people look 50 or over. Some of them do, some of them don't.
Correct. Yep, that's right. The work that Judith and Sandy put into running the Instagram account with the blog post that Susan Young writes is quite inclusive, and it's very broad. And, the fact that there are over now 38,000 followers is a testament to the values that they have. And I'm so pleased that I'm able to support them with the podcast.
Yes, it's fantastic.
There are many garment districts in the world.
Yeah.
What's it like to have one that focuses only on New York?
Well, it's quite an international garment district that we have here. People are making all kinds of things. And I think the diversity of a place like New York really creates an exciting environment for a garment district. Well, they call it the fashion district also. I've always called it the garment district ever since I was little. I think officially it's probably called the fashion district. There are signs that say fashion district.
Yeah.
All my life, we've called it the garment district. And a lot of fashion designers go there, but then there's the Broadway costumers and all of the people who do so many things for New York. People are getting fabrics and supplies for, the performers on cruise ships and street artists and everything in between, and home deck and all of the special things that happen here. So it's really endless what the fashion district, garment district focuses on. And also it's historically, there's so much here because one of the garment district businesses that I go to often, which is a pleating company, they began down on Hester Street when the garment district was all the way downtown long, long ago, maybe the early 1900s. And that's when people were doing things from push carts way downtown. And now it's more of around the 30s in Midtown Manhattan. But it's changed over time. But the historical pieces are still there. And a lot of those businesses that existed then still exist today in different forms. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. Pleating is something that comes and goes with fashion. So it's really great to know that there are still companies out there that do the pleating process for us.
Absolutely. And it's fantastic. I have a couple of things on my Instagram that show fabric that I've had pleated and turned into garments. It's so exciting. I love that pleating is also permanent. You don't wash it out. You don't wash it away. It lives and it continues. And it's amazing. It's really amazing.
Mm.
It makes fabric dance. It makes patterns dance. I love it. I absolutely love it.
On Shop the Garment District Instagram account, the images that you use, Do you need copyright for those, or are they your own images?
They are my own images. Everything I share there is my own. Sometimes I have a reference photo, something that inspired something else. And I think maybe I have a couple of those, but everything else, I'm photographing my own work or places I've actually been.
Thanks for answering that.
Right. I take the pictures myself. So it's not someone else's photography, it's me doing it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is this your day job?
It's part of a larger day job.
Okay.
Everything that I do is somehow sewing related or garment related or fashion industry related, although I've dipped my toe into a couple of other adventures lately. But it is part of a bigger day job. Yes. Yeah.
So now that brings us to a bit of history about Shop the Garment District account.
Yes.
Has it always been an Instagram account, or was it a blog first?
No, it was a blog. The blog remains there. It's still there to be seen with about a decade worth of posts. And so you can see all of the changes that have happened in the garment district because I focus in store by store over a long period of time and just different findings and different. Sometimes I would group things together and I would do a post on closures, all different ways to close garments, button zippers, all the interesting things I found and where I found them, and then give links to where those places are.
I've actually used the content on the blog posts for one of my first visits.
Great. Oh, fantastic. Oh, fantastic. Do you want to tell me where you went?
I was quite lucky in that I did the research, and then vacuuming the lawn, Kyle, she shopped with me.
Yes. Yes. I know Kyle.
She's wonderful.
Oh, fantastic.
When did you discover the Sub 50 community?
I didn't really discover the community. I just pay attention to a lot of different things. I've seen the words before. I've never really registered. I haven't until extremely recently. And because I saw over 50, I didn't necessarily think of myself as included before. I just noticed that it was a hashtag, but I hadn't really noticed the community.
And at least now we've discussed the fact that Sober 50 community, it's not just for people who are 50 and over, but it does raise the awareness of mature sewers in the community.
Right.
So now that we've talked about the New York Garment District, what advice would you give listeners?
I would say come sooner rather than later. Unfortunately, the pandemic has really taken a toll on the garment district. There are a lot of places that have closed, but what remains, some of the absolute gems of the district remain. And they're wonderful, wonderful places to go. You'll be blown away by what is there. It's just that you have to know it's there. Not everything is at street level, which makes it a little difficult to navigate. I offer a map. I call it the Speakeasy map because I used to do speakeasy tours where I would bring people together and we'd go looking all around in all the different stores in the garment district, which is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to do more of them at some point. It's just that right now I don't really have the audience for it. And I hope that at whatever point we get more comfortable after this pandemic wanes, I hope that we reach a point where it's more comfortable and there's a garment district that remains to be visited. There will always be a group of stores. I was talking to a fabric vendor. I bought a good number of yards of fabric in one particular store. And I said, but what's so important is that there's you and there's these 4 other stores that I went to. I said, had I not gone to this store before you, I would not have bought this fabric that perfectly coordinates with what I bought elsewhere. If I didn't know that I could find this certain way to close something, it's not as interesting to make because I don't really sew from patterns. I kind of sew from ideas. I find interesting things. I see a closure and I say, I have to make a top that closes with this fantastic button. Therefore, I have to find the fabric that's the right backdrop. It's like a canvas for the thing that's amazing. So it's so important to have all of these things there because shopping online can be uninspiring and inspiration is so important and it's tactile and it's, there are times when you find something and the fact that you want to make something like my desire to make something, I am as inspired to make something as that thing is to want to be made. It's like, I want to make it and it needs to exist equally. And when they meet, it's perfect.
And that's what inspires you, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Some things just speak. It literally like leaps off of the shelves and says, take me home. I really enjoy making things with humor. I love making things that are funny. It's one of my favorite things to do. And right now I'm making a shirt that I'm calling the My Eyes Are Up Here shirt. The reason is it has stripes, and I really carefully matched the stripes to create bust darts. And I showed it to my daughter and she said, that's really pretty. And she goes, and it looks almost like arrows pointing straight at your bust. And I thought, I'm going to call this the My Eyes Are Up Here shirt. I thought about maybe also adding an arrow to the shirt. That might be too funny, but I still might do it.
I think you could.
I could, and there's a bunch of things in that category for me. I think on my blog, I have somewhere the perpetual shirt that I made in 2013. And it's a perpetual calendar, and I can put the date and year and day of the month on it. So it's today's date with no explanation on a shirt. And it's hilarious when I get a double take on the street. I love it because people are like, I don't understand. I have a shirt with today's date on it. And they don't realize that it's Velcroed, but I love it.
So where can people find A, your blog, and B, the Speakeasy map?
The Speakeasy map. It is actually featured on my blog. The blog itself, Shop the Garment District, NYC.com. And that'll take you right there.
Right.
If you go to my Instagram, which is Shop the Garment District with underscores between each word, Shop the Garment District. If you go there and click the link below my profile link.
Yes.
That will take you to my flow page, because I like having a QR code if I run into people on the street and they can look at the QR code. But this will take you can click that link and it'll take you to all of my social media accounts. Whatever's current, I put there, and I can change it as things are updated or, I take things away. I just find it's a more efficient way, because someone may listen to this podcast and maybe it's months from now. I think it's helpful to know that will continue to exist. So if they go to my Instagram, they can click that and it'll just be current for whatever time we're in at that point.
Oh, great. Thanks, Mimi. Yeah.
Thank you.
And have a lovely day, listeners. This episode of So Organised Style Podcast, Force Over 50, was produced by me, Maria Theoharis, with permission of Mimi Jackson, sound by bensound.com. You can subscribe to So Organised Style Podcast, but with an S, not a Z, on all good podcast apps. Make sure you go back and listen to our So Over 50 podcast archive and give us a 5-star rating and review. We hope you'll support us through our Patreon account. There are over 280 free podcasts in our podcast library, and we aim to keep you company and encourage you to sew more often. Post any questions or podcast suggestions you have on our Instagram account at SoOrganizedStyle, or on our website at www.soorganizedstyle.com, or on our Facebook page. We look forward to joining you in your sewing room next time. Stay safe, everyone.